Welcome back to the Impact Storytelling Podcast. I'm your host, Sabine M, and today I'm conversing with wildlife filmmaker and camerawoman Yaz Ellis. Yaz is currently based in the capital city of Austria, Vienna. She focuses on creating films that show how wildlife is challenged by human impact and how it is adapting. She has recently worked on different documentary projects as a cinematographer and is currently working as a director of photography for Terra Mater Studios program Wild Vienna. She has also recently co-founded an independent production company with her partner Jack Mifflin. Welcome, Yaz. I'm really happy to be filming this episode with you and sharing your experience and work with the audience. Before we start talking about your work, what inspired you to start a career in wildlife filmmaking?
Well, I never set out to have a career in wildlife filmmaking. I was always outside as a child looking for wildlife, like in streams and rivers and in the garden. I didn't really think it was a career option. I thought that since I wasn't good enough at science to be a vet, that I probably wouldn't end up having a career working with animals. I was a very keen actress, so I got into film that way, like wanting to become an actress, and then I realized, oh, maybe I want to be behind the camera. And then I realized I could combine my two passions of wildlife and film, and so ended up in wildlife film. And yeah, never looked back since I made the decision.
Interesting that you wanted to be an actress when you were younger and be in front of the camera rather than behind. I'm personally really happy you chose to be behind the camera so we can enjoy your films. You are originally from the UK and studied in Bristol, which certainly has a better film industry than Austria. What made you decide to move to Vienna and work there?
Yeah, so Bristol is the center of wildlife filmmaking in the world, which is where I studied. I didn't do a degree in wildlife filmmaking. I did a degree in film, but ended up making films about wildlife through that. And then the pandemic hit. A lot of the jobs were lost. I had a job lined up that I would go into in that Easter holiday as a production coordinator. Got cancelled, and then just kind of made me think, well, maybe I want to try living somewhere else in the world before Brexit hits. So I always loved Austria. I filmed the hamsters here before that, and in Vienna, which made me realize that there's so much nature. And yeah, ended up moving to Vienna. It was just for an adventure, really, to try something different. And I ended up falling in love with the wildlife, the nature, everything, really.
Yeah, I think a fresh perspective, not being from Vienna, was probably also helpful. Because I feel like when you grow up somewhere or live for a long time, then you sometimes get blind to the things around you. Yet then when you go somewhere to visit or see something for the first time, you see more things because you're interested in seeing as much as possible and excited to see things that aren't known to you. At least that's how it is with me. Your films are primarily concerned with the question of how wildlife in our increasingly urban world adapts to and is influenced by humans. What inspired you to create stories like this?
Well, I want to make stories that people can connect to. And there's a lot of films about climate change, like big effects, that it's quite hard to figure out how you can have an impact and how you can make a difference. So I just kind of made these films about how some animals can survive really, really well with humans, and others are struggling. And each story has like a very tangible steps that you can take to help that particular species. It's just what I saw. I didn't really set out to make these films about human impact, but humans are impacting these creatures for good or for bad. So yeah, that just ended up being the stories I told on what I saw.
What do you think is important to creating a good story in the style of your films?
I always want the audience to connect with the creatures in my films, and hopefully see them from a different perspective. Like, for example, beavers don't just build dams. They can have their own urban lives too. or that we need to go and rescue some toads because we are running them over unintentionally, but we need to do something about it. So you just have to make someone care for that toad, which is, just give it a little bit of a personality, make it fun. Yeah, I don't know. I just think the most important thing is for it to be fun, cute, and I just like sharing what I see, how I see those animals without a science background, but as someone that just enjoys nature, who just make people connect and really fall in love.
You're definitely doing a great job in creating interesting and exciting films. I think it is sometimes good to not have a scientific background because you have a different way of sharing information. Stories are easier to understand, remember, and consume than facts and figures. So, as long as the facts are true and researched well, maybe in collaboration with a scientist, you don't necessarily need to have a scientific background. And showing the animals family, giving them personalities is definitely a good way to make people care about the animals and excited to learn more about them. The first film I watched of yours was Beavers About Town. A very interesting film, and funny enough, I had just filmed some beavers outside of Vienna myself, a couple of weeks before we first met for National Parks Austria. It was really amazing to see your and Jack's film, then win at Jack's Wild, that was also based in Austria that year. Can you please tell us a little bit more about the story of Beavers About Town?
Of course. So, Beavers About Town is the story of a family of urban beavers that are thriving in the city center of Vienna. They are very interesting to film because they are just living amongst our infrastructure. This family in particular lives under a set of concrete steps on the river, which people use to walk into the water and go swimming. And it's just what they get up to. It was just me and my partner. We filmed them over the course of a year and a half. And it's just all the things that we saw them doing, all the secrets that they revealed to us about their lives, because they don't build dams here on that river because it's the Danube and the fluctuation is too much. So they just get to eat, chill, enjoy life, just and yeah, it was amazing to film and to see beavers like that, because until I moved to Austria, I had never seen a beaver either. And then I realized that the city of Vienna has got over 230 beavers living in parks, rivers, everywhere that could possibly have a beaver. In Vienna, that suitable habitat has got beavers living there, which I just think is amazing. And yeah.
It is really interesting to have beavers so close to the city. When thinking of beavers, I certainly didn't think of Vienna. And you sent me a clip of the film. So let's watch that and then talk a bit more about the production side of the film.
Not every beaver builds a lodge here in Vienna. Instead, this resourceful beaver has created a home in an unexpected place. And it is here where he is raising a family, right under our feet. European beavers mate for life, and the marital bliss of this couple is reflected in the 5 kits and yearlings that they are raising. Now you know why he needed his moment of peace.
Such a beautiful sequence you picked. And here you also had a little acting moment.
Yeah, exactly.
The sound design is also really good, especially the sound design for the transition to See Under the Steps. But in general, it's good in all your films. I really like it. And it's really important part as well.
Yeah, well, that's thanks to an amazing sound designer, James Spooner, who I've worked on for all of my films. And yeah, he's amazing.
It's very talented. Where can everyone go and watch the film?
So you can watch this on my website, which is yazellis.com, or on dreamwildfilms.com, or just Google Yaz Ellis or Dreamwild Films, and you can find it really easily.
Amazing. I will also link it in the show notes for everyone to find. You have shots from land, underwater, in the darkness. What equipment did you use and what were the challenges?
Yeah, so Beavers About Town was a no-budget film. We had zero funding. We didn't even know that we would be able to create the film. We just wanted to kind of follow these beavers and ended up making a film about it. So the underwater was just a GoPro. That's all we had. So we would throw a GoPro into the water, like weighed down. And after many, many throws, you might get it in the right position because at that time, the water was way too cold to go in. I think it was like 5 degrees. Was not up to that challenge. So yeah, we just threw the GoPro in and eventually it worked. The Under the Steps shots was filmed with a self-converted infrared camera, Canon 5D Mark III. My partner Jack took the infrared filter out of the camera, so it became infrared. We filmed them when there was a hole that they had made themselves. There was a hole on the side of the step, so we could put the camera in without disturbing them. We would only film like on their conditions. So if it was covered, we would not be filming them that day. But if it was open, then we could get the camera in. Because it's infrared, beavers can't see that. So they would literally have no idea, just carrying on their business of eating and sleeping and farting. They really fart quite a lot in their home. And then the main camera was a Lumix S1H. And yeah, it was just what equipment we already had as photographers and kind of emerging filmmakers. And we just made it work, which was a lot of fun. And there was no pressure to make it because no one knew we were doing it. So it really was just a passion project, a labor of love. Yeah.
And it turned out extremely well. Such a great idea you had to film it. You threw the camera in the water. How did you get it back up? With a string?
Yeah, so it was some yarn from my crochet collection. We tie around the GoPro, kind of weigh it down. And yeah, it was just like, keep going until it finally worked. I think it was like 100 attempts. Yeah.
I had a similar experience once. I was filming fish in a national park, but I wasn't allowed to go into the water. So one of the national park rangers gave me a really long window cleaner pole, and I fixed my underwater housing with cable ties onto that thing. It was also a trial and error and many tries because I couldn't see what I was filming. Sometimes you just have to be creative in order to get the shot.
Did it work?
Yeah, it did work, but it took some time.
Amazing.
When did you come up for the idea for this film?
Yeah, so we moved to Vienna in the middle of lockdowns, in the middle of peak COVID times. I went home to see my family for Christmas, but ended up getting stuck in the UK for 6 weeks because it became a red list country. Red list. So Jack was here by himself for 6 weeks, became an avid runner, and then found loads of beavers on these runs in January when, there was so many beavers. And then we decided, well, wouldn't that be awesome to try and see where this goes? So the family we filmed isn't the family that Jack found at first, but it inspired us to look for more, set up trail cameras. And then one summer, a colleague of mine, Sue from Terra Mater, she knew I was filming beavers and she saw some when she was cycling. So I went to go and check it out. And then I realized that the beavers she was talking about were actually right beneath my feet. Like I was stood on the steps and they were living underneath me. I could hear these strange noises. So that was just really surreal that they were living there. Just look for beavers in Vienna and you'll find some.
You said you filmed over the duration of 1 year. What is the best time to film them?
Yeah, it's easiest to film them in late spring, early summer, when the greenery is out, and they get really hungry and they eat all the beautiful greens that they've been deprived of in the winter. But they are active all year round. We filmed pretty much like January till like October 1 year, and then we finished off some other shots in spring the year after. Once we realized that there was a real story and we just needed to finish it off to make it into a film. They're active all year, less so in the winter, but you can still definitely see them.
What was most surprising about shooting the beavers?
I did not expect them to be living under steps. That we could get a camera in there without disturbing them. That was amazing. Everything, to be honest, that they did just surprised me. I was just so happy to film them. They're really difficult to film because they are not like, you can't guarantee that you'll see them. So for every time you're filming them successfully, there's like 3 times where you've been and seen nothing. Just everything. They're so cute. They're so smart and resourceful. We saw one beaver, one day when we filmed, we saw a beaver go into an aquatic plant mowing boat that they have in Vienna to keep the weeds not too high so that everything stays oxygenated and clean in the water. And he was just chilling in there. Everything they did surprised me. I love them.
They are really adorable. Once you knew there was a story, what was your main goal with the film? And who was your target audience?
Every film that I work on and create with Jack as well, we really want to connect kids. We don't want to make the film for kids, but it's important that children can enjoy it, especially with the short film format. It's easier for them to watch than an hour documentary. So we really want children to kind of connect, because it's the best thing about being a child is the way you can experience nature. But then also the parents to enjoy watching it with them. It's not just for kids. It can be for adults as well. Like, it's for everyone. We just want people to be able to watch the film and enjoy this story without it being too challenging. They can just really just enjoy nature for the 10 minutes of the film.
Besides storytelling and beautiful imagery, what do you think helped in creating the right feeling for the audience, the kids and the parents, to care about this animal's story?
I think that it is important to I like showing these families of animals because I think we can connect a lot to this family feeling. The dad is out enjoying his peace because he has so many kids waiting for him at home, and it's crazy. I think that these family of wildlife stories makes it easier to connect than to just a single animal generally, because it's just like us, and
Showing them as a family is a good idea. I bet some dads can relate to needing a break and leaving the house for some alone time. The kids probably can relate to playing and having fun, like the little beavers. It's great that you show how the beavers behave with each other. It might even remind us of our own family. After Beavers About Town, you started the production of Marmots on Toast, a film about alpine marmots living in Austrian mountains. What inspired you to create this film? Have you seen these marmots on mountains before, or did you see them for the first time when you were doing this wonderful project?
So I have seen marmots on the mountains before making this film, but they were much more wild marmots. They were very scared of us. We just saw them when we were hiking in the mountains and was like, oh, that's amazing, because I hadn't seen a marmot before. it was just really, we watched them for like an hour and a half, stayed back. And then one day on social media, on Instagram, I saw some pictures of someone feeding marmots like biscuits or something. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that is not what a marmot should be eating. Looked into it a lot more and discovered that there are these marmots that are a tourist attraction and people feed them. Not many, but there are some people that are feeding them really, really bad things like fries, crisps, biscuits, cake, chocolate, whatever they have on them. Most people feed them the right things, carrots or something healthy that the marmot should be eating. So, we found it on social media and realized that it was, the other end of Austria, but we could go and make this film called Marmots on Toast, about marmots eating food that they shouldn't be. And I hadn't seen those particular marmots until we went to go and make the film.
We have a little insight into this film today as well. Let's watch that, and then please tell me more about the project.
This is Mountain Politics. They are equally matched, both the masters of their own territory. Dad must use everything he can. And with all 6 kilograms of his body weight and strong front paws, pins the intruder into submission. And defeat.
Wow, what a fighting scene, and so beautifully captured. Did both Jack and you film simultaneously on the scene? Or was it even just one event, or did you cut multiple together?
Yeah, so there was a lot of challenges with this film. First of all, we had planned to shoot dates. But we weren't sure we were going to be able to actually make it because it was snowing so heavily still, and we couldn't get to them. But it ended up literally the day that we started filming, we could get to them. There was enough snow cleared, so it was meant to be. We were one of the first people to reach them that year, so we got a really cool insight into their lives before people arrive, which we ended up making part of the story. Although the ultimate point of this story is about the feeding of these marmots, you have to immerse people into their lives and again build up this story of a marmot family. So we got to film them for a few days, just pretty much us and these marmots, which was amazing. But as soon as the weather got a bit nicer, the marmots don't like being out in the heat. They're very picky, so they are actually not that active. A little bit of time in the mornings, and then they just want to rest the rest of the day.
What a nice life.
Exactly. And these marmots can be very friendly, especially like if you want to eat your lunch or something, then they would come and check you out. So a lot of the time the marmots would actually get kind of too close to the camera, or and then they realize you're not sharing your lunch, then they are really not interested in you and go as far away as possible.
Did you have to hike far with all the equipment, and were they hard to find at the beginning?
Yeah, at the beginning, with still like so much snow on the mountain, it was really hard to find them. But yeah, we just had to we tried a few different locations and ended up finding the right family that we could access, that were active enough. But yeah, it took a while to find them, a lot of trial and error. And we didn't have to hike so far, but it was still pretty steep with a lot of equipment, as you said. So it was definitely a workout every morning, especially when it was so cold and you were bundled up in layers. And yeah, yeah.
I have a photo here with your camera assistant, I believe. A little marmot holding a red camera. They seem to be very trusting.
The director of photography.
Oh, okay. Not just the camera assistant. Besides a grant from Wild Screen and National Geographic and the support from Wild Motion Docs, the film was also supported by Red Digital Cameras and Laowa. How did that collaboration with camera brands come to be?
Yes, so the film was supported by Wild Motion Docs. Brian Henderson was very generous in supporting this film, helping us make it, and made sure that we helped us get the equipment from Red Digital Cinema. And Laowa were interested in having us. They reached out to Jack to test a lens, the Laowa Ranger. So we told them about the project, and they're like, definitely, we want you. So, use the lens for your project. It helped us get some amazing shots. Sorry. It was quite surreal to have support of camera companies this time, because all of the films we made before had just been us with what equipment we had, whereas this was people reaching out to support us.
I feel like you have quite some films with rodents. Where does this passion for these animals come from? Did you have a hamster as a kid, or wanted one and couldn't get it, so now you're making films about rodents?
I know all of my films do tend to lean towards furry rodents whose priority in life is to get fat. I just think that it's amazing. I don't know. I guess in the UK, like, we don't really have these animals, these rodents. Like, yes, we have beavers, but only recently, and they're really hard to find. And I just love them. They're so cute. And I think that they're a really great character for people to connect to, because I don't know, I just love telling these stories of these fluffy fat rodents that just want to eat and get fat. I mean, it's amazing.
So no hamsters, a child?
No, I did have a hamster when I was like 15. But yeah, it didn't stem from some childhood issue, I don't think, but they're just the cutest.
They are quite adorable and really fluffy. What are your tips for filming wildlife in nature in different places? What do you do to not negatively impact the natural environment?
Yeah, so I really like that question. Every film that I make, or every time I'm filming at wildlife, I absolutely do not want to have a negative impact on them. I will sacrifice the shot that I want for the sake of the wildlife, because for me, they come first, always. I like to take time before I start filming something to kind of get to know it, either just with a smaller camera setup or no cameras at all, so I can... Sometimes you can scare the wildlife easier, or you have to worry about other things when you've got a big camera setup. But when you are free from that, you can really just observe them, get to know their behavior, get to know how close you can get without scaring them, or whether you really can't get close at all. And then you can pack your equipment based on how the wildlife is. How long a lens do you need, or how close can you get? Usually, if you are really patient, stay still, don't make sudden movements, you can get quite close to a lot of wildlife, which I love. It's amazing. But yeah, number one focus is don't scare it, don't push your luck, don't get too close if the wildlife doesn't want it. And it's fun filming in different environments. Filmed a lot in the city of Vienna, but I really enjoyed filming in the mountains, and I'm currently also filming on a river outside of Vienna. And it's fun when you can get to experience all of these beautiful environments.
I suppose not many people know about the beavers by the city. What is your experience with that?
Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with people in Vienna, and they have seen me filming something. They're like, what are you filming? And then they see my monitor and they're like, oh my God, that I did not know that was there. There's somewhere where they walk their dog every morning or something, and they see something new. And it's really, really cool for me to share that.
That is great that they can discover the wildlife in their home for you. What was your most memorable experience filming wildlife so far?
The marmots 100% are my most memorable experience. I loved every minute of that shoot with them. I just really connected to them, and I loved filming them. They're just beautiful creatures. The fight scene that I showed earlier is really interesting because they are these really family-orientated, gentle animals, and they're very gentle with humans. If they are, some of the colonies can deal with humans. Most of them don't like humans, and they're very shy, and that's really beautiful. But then they have this other side to them. They are quite vicious. They will defend their territory aggressively. There's two sides to them. There's like adorable, fluffy side, and then there's like, I will fight you to the death if need be to keep my territory. And it was really interesting to see that side of them, because I just thought that they were really cute, friendly, but there's two sides of them. And
Alongside your own productions, you also work as a camerawoman for productions like Wild Vienna from Terra Mater. How did you start your journey with Terra Mater?
So my journey with Terra Mater began again in lockdown. There was a few of those. Jackson Wild offered this mentorship program, which I signed up for, and I got connected to Birgit from Terra Mater. I showed her my work, which was primarily at that time things I'd found in Vienna, and she suggested me for the job for Wild Vienna. And basically, because of all of the time I'd spent filming in my spare time on weekends, whatever, just for fun with Jack, I shown enough knowledge and of the city to be able to take on this role, which was super cool.
Here I have a photo of you on a cemetery. I know your first film in Vienna was about hamsters on a cemetery. Did you film the same for Wild Vienna?
Yes, I filmed the hamsters for Wild Vienna as well, which was quite a weird, like, full circle moment for me, because the first time I came to Vienna was to make that film about the hamsters, and now I was filming the hamsters for a Terra Mater production. So that was super cool. Really, really good.
I would have never gotten the idea to look for wildlife in a cemetery. Amazing that you found out about it and captured it. Would you say you have learned something from the productions with bigger studios that helped you with your own productions?
Yeah, I've learned a lot about, since working on Wild Vienna, I've learned a lot better about scheduling, about using my time better. Before that, most of the films I made was just for fun. So I would go there without a shot list and just see what happened. So sometimes I'd miss a lot of shots that needed for the story and have to go and get them later. So I've learned a lot more about, shot lists and getting as much as possible on the day, especially as you don't know if the behavior is going to change, the weather's going to change. Learn a lot to be much better about using my time well when filming.
Yeah, planning is really important. You just co-founded Dream Wild Films with your partner Jack Mifflin. What kind of productions are you going to specialize in?
Yes, so we are primarily focused on making films about Austria. Again, it's just kind of expanding from our short films to now make short films and longer films about Austria, the wildlife here, and also neighboring countries to Austria. It's all about getting people to connect with nature, to see things differently. And it's not about showing the most amazing places in the world, but the places that are quite normal, but have so much wildlife, and you just got to look. and about change. Yeah, just hope to change people's perspectives and really inspire connection, especially for people living in Austria or Germany. Yeah.
I have the show reel here, so why don't we watch it? And as there is no voiceover, maybe we can talk a bit over it, what we are seeing for the people that are only listening.
Okay, so this is the introduction actually to the Marmot film, setting the scene in the mountains. And then we have some shots of some beautiful little ibex in the morning sun. Epic fight from Marmots on Toast, which was just so much fun to film. Definitely our proudest work to date. And then this is a hamster stealing berries from a tree, which I just love. It's so cute, and yeah, he's a bit clumsy, stuffing his little face. And this is a kingfisher from a film that we're currently working on, which was just beautiful to film. Catching a fish and whacking it to kill it, which is quite brutal for such a dainty little bird. And now a little segment from Beavers About Town. The light on this day, I've never seen anything like it. It's so golden. And then the European ground squirrels, which are an endangered animal that eat flowers. And a little scratching ibex and a running marmot to finish. But all filmed in Austria.
A really good show reel. Thank you so much for showing that and talking over it. And Jack is not only your work partner, but also your life partner. How do you manage work-life balance?
Yeah, it's difficult, especially as we only recently started the company. Jack quit his job. So I was a freelancer. I've been a freelancer for the past few years, but Jack had a job. We decided for him to quit so we could set up the company and really commit to making films, taking our filmmaking to the next level, making it our full-time job. It's definitely difficult establishing work-life balance, especially at first when it's all new. But you just have, at the end of the day, he is the one person I want to be making films with, and it's awesome that we get to spend our time making these films together, which we always used to do for fun on weekends. But now sometimes I guess we get weekends back. You just have to make sure that you sometimes set boundaries between taking days off of filmmaking and trying not to discuss anything to do with filmmaking, just being a couple. But it's the best thing. I'm so happy that I get to work with him now, and it's like, living the dream.
It sounds great, especially when you can balance it well. Do you have any tips for other couples who want to work together but are afraid it will harm their personal relationship?
I think that if you're both doing something that you love, that you want to work together, that it is going to be difficult at first, establishing those boundaries, getting used to it. But that's okay for it to be a bit difficult, because you'll get used to it, you'll work at it and it will get better. So I think don't be afraid to take the risk, because what it opens up is amazing. And just be patient and understand that you have to adapt. It's not going to be easy at first, but you will fall into it and it will open up like a whole new side of life for you. And at the end of the day, the trust that you have with your partner means that you can really, work so well together. It's great because with Jack, we don't have to worry about what the other one is doing. We know that the other one understands, we both understand the vision. We're both doing our part. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
It sounds like it's working really well for you. That's so great. And in my last question, I always ask for advice to filmmakers who want to start out in this field. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, my advice is very simple. Go out and film something, make a film. It doesn't matter if it's not very good, figure out how to make it better. And then if you do the whole process yourself, you plan it, write it, film it, and edit it, you will learn so much. My whole career has stemmed from the fact that I made my own films. I figured out the mistakes. I entered some film festivals and did okay at different things. And yeah, my first films I watch back, I think are quite bad, but I'm so proud of the fact that I did it. I put myself out there and then ended up making good films as I go along. And each film you make is better. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Sometimes you just have to abandon it, release it into the world and move on. But yeah, my advice is go out and film something. Don't have any excuses. Film wildlife near you with a phone if you have to, but cameras, you can get some really good cameras quite reasonable now. And if you want to be in wildlife filmmaking, it's definitely worth investing. But yes, just film something, anything. That's how you learn.
That's such great advice. Thank you so much. Practice is really important, and you can also use your phone to start out, or a cheap second-hand camera, or borrow something.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I hope to see you soon again with your new films and new projects that we can talk about. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.